So you're trying to get healthier, yeah? You're wondering, what do I do? I want to be that guy who's like 100 years old, still jacked and shredded, running marathons. Do I need to buy this cookie cutter program off of some fitness schmuck? Do I have to buy Egyptian camel hair extract? Let's find out. My name's Shay, I'm a nutritionist and an international level athlete, and let's talk about the most bang for your buck interventions you can do to make sure you're feeling better. And you know, if there's one thing I advocate on this channel, it's just like, if you can take care of your body and feel better, you just end up getting a lot more done. So like literally every part of your life just gets better if you can take care of yourself. So let's make a start. So the first thing here is morning sunlight. People like Huberman really advocate for this. The theory is like, well, if you see a lot of bright sunlight in the morning, it helps set your sleep cycle and therefore makes it slightly easier to get to sleep later on in the evening. However, there's bigger fish to fry as far as sleep goes, and as well, it's just, it's hard to say this is gonna work for everyone, because, you know, what if you're in the middle of Siberia and you look outside and there's a tiger fighting a bear and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna sit outside for a bit. Where's the sun? so I mean, I think anything that helps you sleep a little bit can't be useless, so I'll put it there, but I think I want to put hours of sleep in this stage. Like, there's not much to say here, it's just so proven. Everything we know about sleep just circles back to hours, right? Assuming you're not oversleeping, because then sleep inertia comes in, but getting your solid hours of sleep, however many you need, it's usually like 8 or 9 for most people to feel pretty good. And like, people slash sleep to be like more productive, to get more work done, but it's like, your work is gonna be terrible quality if you don't get enough hours. So dude, like, what are you doing? And the next one is distancing your last meal from bedtime. I talk about this quite a bit. It's just like a really simple thing you can do to improve sleep quality. It's not like a massive mover, it's not gonna make your sleep like turbocharged, but it's one of those little things that just help a little bit. And it's, yeah, as I said, really easy to do. Next up is sleep consistency. This, I would say, is so underrated, dude. This is one of the reasons I recently did a video on night shifts, and rotating shifts can often be even worse than night shifts, just because your sleep cycle's completely random all the time. And all of the metrics when they measure sleep quality in studies is linked closely to consistency, right? It's one of the biggest factors, so hugely underrated, dude. If you can nail in enough hours in consistency, you're probably feeling pretty good. So that's it for like some of the sleep quality things. Now into training things. So upper body training. Should I rage bait? I'm gonna put in the C tier to rage bait. No, not really. But like, as far as exercise goes, tell me why training upper body weights is actually gonna make your body work better and healthier. Like, give me a reason, dude. And the reason I'm putting it down there is like, compared to training lower body, if you've gone all out in training lower body, you'll realize how much better it just makes your life. Like, even your figure, if people, because that's the reason most people train upper body, like getting some big glutes just makes your life so much better as far as your actual body functionality, your strength through pretty much everything, and gives you like that thick gorilla look. As well, it's just so much better for you. Like, a lot of the advantages for weight training is, you know, strengthening your bones and general strength levels, and lower body is going to do that more because it's loading up the actual load-bearing joints and bones, like your legs and your hips and your spine. Plus, training those larger muscles is going to mean you're actually doing more volume because it's more weight, and additionally it's probably more testosterone because you're working bigger muscles. So yeah, training lower body is so underrated. Next up is cardio, another straight S tier. We know this, but a lot of people just don't do it. And I'm kind of lumping in all sorts of things that just really get your heart rate up. I think regular weight training doesn't do that enough, so whether it just be running or swimming, or maybe doing like some hill sprints, or cardiovascular health, mental health, cognition. I can make a list of 100 things, right? It says there's no brainer, dude. If you're not doing enough, do some, pick up a sport if you don't like running or regular cardio or anything. Like, dude, you need to be doing it. If you're doing really lactic acid type of style of training, it can actually be really helpful for your brain as well, because your brain loves lactic acid, but that's kind of cardio. It's not really, but I'm looping it in there. Next up is mobility. It's hard to put mobility like close to like sleep consistency. I can't put it too high, but it is advantageous. Just like being able to move properly through movement. I've said it a few times. Your life just gets better when you can move well, okay? And as well, just injury risk is a bit better with better mobility. So whether it be loading up, you know, movements, I recommend like knees over toes guy. He knows some great stuff, just improving mobility and injury prevention through mobility. Fantastic stuff. Next up is exercise snacks. And what I mean by this is just doing like a bout of exercise really quickly for like throughout the day. Maybe you're at work, you just go to the stairwell, run up the stairs a few times. Nothing really strenuous, but I think the advantage here is we're really inactive nowadays, the human race. You know, even if we train for like an hour a day, we might be sitting around the rest of the day, and that way we're still not really living an active lifestyle. And our bodies kind of fall apart when we're not doing that. You know, things like blood sugar levels and a lot of blood reading levels kind of fall out of place if you're just sitting around the rest of the day, particularly if you're like eating big meals and just sitting here on your bum for like the rest of the day. It becomes a bit problematic. And there's a similar story with 10K steps. Both of these are really influential to mental health as well. 10K steps is just a similar story. You're just making sure you're active throughout the day, I suppose. And, you know, if you're worried about weight maintenance, that can help too, and just a regular target. 10K steps and exercise snacks kind of go hand in hand. I think seeking out, I'm gonna put a low, I value balance, but I just think if you're training like good lower body movements and maybe some mobility stuff, you're going to end up with some balance. So I don't think it's worth necessarily seeking it out too much unless your sport requires it. I really value like single leg stuff for lower body exercises. So that way you're getting some balance. So you don't have to seek it. But if you're not doing that, I guess seek it out. But it's not going to like boost your health to a crazy extent, right? Next up is massages. I'm going to put these in C tier because I'm going to put foam rolling in D tier. And I'll explain why. I think it's really valuable if you are trying to seek out some extra recovery to really pinpoint the actual points in your muscle that are tight. And, you know, an actual massage therapist is going to pinpoint those and get them resolved and loosened, as opposed to a foam roller. It's really a generalist approach. Like, bear in mind, everything on this list is effective. It's just, if you are going for that bit of thing, it's going to be massages. They work. Of course, foam rollers are cheaper, but, you know, I can't just put foam rollers above massage, dude. Like, most people don't need a massage. But if you are like really trying to push the volume and push your results, it can be helpful. If you're out and training, please be sure to drop a like and consider subscribing. If subscribing was like a health intervention, it'd be straight S, dude. There's no debate, okay? Next up is rest days. Severely underrated. I think if you feel like you don't need rest days, you're not training with enough intensity, and a lot of the times, depending on what you're training for, it's the quality of your training that's going to be able to boost your results. It's not just the volume. People get too tied up in volume sometimes. It's like if the quality of the session's terrible, sometimes like for me, for example, with track and field, the most important sessions are the high quality ones that usually have a rest day right before it. So again, hugely underrated. Next up is some of these diet things. And first up is avoiding processed food. And surprisingly, I'm actually going to put this in B tier, and I'll explain why. So I think a lot of the people, like, let's say in the fitness sphere, they're very scared of processed foods, and kind of like drive them towards an eating disorder, and they're just like saying, oh, I need to eat chicken, broccoli, and rice, even though those aren't like highly nutritious foods. It's just because they're not processed foods, they feel okay about it. But the reason I'm putting it in B tier is I just think it's a way better strategy just to prioritize whole foods as opposed to prioritize avoiding processed foods. You know what I mean? It's more of an inclusion rather than an exclusion. For one, it won't drive you crazy. For two, it'll actually prioritize getting the nutritious foods in instead of being scared and developing an eating disorder. As well, if you're getting mostly whole foods in, which usually have some anti-inflammatories and all your micronutrients, some processed food isn't going to hurt because you already have all your micronutrients, and anything that might be minorly pro-inflammatory, you're getting some anti-inflammatories from your whole foods, which can help deal with it. So I really think that you need to make that distinction. Prioritize the whole foods. You don't have to be terrified of some processed foods. Next up is intermittent fasting. I think it's a preference. I think the evidence is really weak. I kind of prefer it just because I like getting some work done fasted in the morning, and I usually just eat 2 meals a day just because it's easier. It's a preference. It's not going to change your life, but you know, try it if you want. Next up is hydration. Hugely underrated as well. Pretty much your whole body works on water, okay? And if you don't have water, your body doesn't work properly. Let's not ignore that, okay? It's sort of like describing the cardio here. It's like I could list 100 things, but I think we know why hydration should be there. If your piss is not white, do something about it. I talk about this a lot on the channel. I think these are probably one of the biggest things that have changed in my life, because thinking about the top tier, these are things I've done like forever really. The top S and A tier I try to get all the time, but anti-inflammatory foods, like the picture I've put together here is like some chia seeds, some extra virgin olive oil, some blueberries, some turmeric. If you do want to know more about anti-inflammatory foods, try my like superfood tier list or my fruit tier list. Those both had a lot of that in there. But basically anti-inflammatory foods will take care of your whole body. Think like antioxidants from things like fruit, some of your, omega-3 is another big one, vitamin E, but generally these will take care of all the inflammatory damage and particles in your body, which generally just makes recovery better, your training better, your sleep better. I honestly find I need less hours of sleep just because the sleep is more quality, because I'm really prioritizing anti-inflammatory foods. So underrated. Next up is ignoring alcohol and trying to stay away from it. I think this is S tier. I will die on this hill, dude. I will die on it. Let's not beat around the bush. Alcohol is poison. I do enjoy a beer or two here or there, but anything more than that, I can't do it, dude. I just know how detrimental it is now towards your sleep. It destroys your sleep. It destroys your training because you're not actually recovering from the training because you're not sleeping properly, so your body's not actually healing the muscle. And it makes you feel like trash. It increases rates of depression. It costs money. Usually associates with inconsistent sleep as well as bad sleep quality and less hours, so literally everything's bad here. Stay away if possible. Next up is supplements. Now this is kind of a mixed bag. I'm going to put it in C tier just because some things can be really helpful. I did a supplement tier list. I'm referencing a lot of tier lists here apparently, but some things like creatine and protein powder can help. Things like fish oils can be nice for that omega-3, which is an anti-inflammatory, as well. Those fish oils also have vitamin D, which is a common deficiency if you're not getting outside. A lot of gym bros just train inside, and then they're vitamin D deficient, and then that leads to depression and crash testosterone. So if most people might need 1 or 2 supplements just to really optimize things, so it's there. Next up is cold plunges and cold showers, cold exposure. I'm kind of torn here. I think it could be B or C. If you really like it, throw it in B tier for you. I think the evidence for it is okay. I like a cold shower in the morning, particularly in summer, just to get me going. I honestly like one before bed as well for some reason. It just kind of relaxes me. But I think the reason it's going in C tier is because its buddy saunas are going straight into A tier. Huge, pretty huge for health. You could even put this in S tier. I haven't had enough experience with it personally to really delve into it too much, but a lot of the evidence suggests it's pretty much just a cardiovascular workout without actually adding any training volume. As well, it reduces inflammation and helps your body be a bit more adaptable. So massive thing there. It's just the issue, I think, holding it back a little bit is just accessibility. Not everyone has a sauna, has space for a sauna, or the money for a sauna, or has a gym that has a sauna. So that's kind of holding it back. Next up is breath work. I mean, there's a lot of different types of breath work, some for relaxation, like box breathing, some for maybe doing some sort of endurance with static holds. But compared to everything else here, it's hard to say breath work is gonna make a big dent in your health compared to something like, sauna, right? It's just hard to make it work. Next up is an air purifier. This is kind of interesting because it really depends on where you are. If you live in an area which has really clean air, it's not going to really do much. But if you live somewhere where the air is I don't know, the gulag, you're probably not going to be sleeping that well. So that can be quite helpful. Improving your sleep and just your overall health can improve longevity as well. So, I mean, if you live in, as I said, the gulag, it could be an A tier for you, honestly. So I'm going to put that there for now. Getting outside, hugely underrated. I think targeting mental health through easy interventions as well. You're getting some vitamin D, which, as I said before, is a common deficiency. Just getting out there a bit can improve mental health levels and stave off anxiety and depression. So massive thing there. Really easy to do as well and free to all. So super underrated with that. And I think, if your mental health is good, everything else is good. You get more work done, your training's more higher quality, your sleep's better because less anxiety. So hugely underrated, not for just getting outside, just the ripple effects. It's huge, man. And it's a similar story with brain hobbies. I'm calling them brain hobbies. This is something I really like. I like, learning languages, maybe playing chess, maybe just doing things that really stimulate your brain. I really found this out maybe a couple years ago in university when it was over summer and I was just training. I didn't really have too much else to stimulate my brain, and I just felt so dumb, dude. And my brain just wasn't sharp. And as I said before, you can just get so much work done when you feel sharp and everything just gets better. So I think these are kind of underrated. Find something that's stimulating for you, and I'm sure that'll be more helpful than you would anticipate. So anyway, that's my list. Just in time for those New Year's resolutions. And so let me know what you think. Let me know if you'd put anything higher or lower. But yeah, that's kind of the bang for buck list. So let me know. Anyway, there's some more videos there. If you did enjoy, I will see you next time.